Very good evening, viewers. You are watching the Urban Debate with me, Afrida Rahman Ali. Congress President Sonia Gandhi appeared before the Enforcement Directorate for questioning earlier today in connection with an alleged money laundering case related to the National Herald newspaper. Sonia Gandhi arrived at the ED headquarters in central Delhi a little after noon, escorted by her Z+ category CRPF security cover. The Congress, including the state units, protested across the nation in solidarity with the party chief. Protests were also marred with violence in certain locations. We'll show you those pictures where a car was set ablaze in Bengaluru, trains stalled in Delhi, water cannons had to be used in certain locations in Chandigarh. You also have bike burnt in Hyderabad, another train blocked in Tiruvananthapuram, where barricades were breached in Guwahati. Water cannons, like I mentioned, used in Chandigarh to disperse the mob. Many leaders were also detained, while the Congress blamed the BJP of misusing the agencies. The BJP claimed that it is the law and it is the course of law that is being followed. So tonight I want to put that question straight on. Is it ED duplicity, as Congress is alleging, to selectively target opposition leaders, or is this simply, like the BJP claims, law taking its own course and no one is above the law? That's the question we will pose to our panelists. But first, let's listen in to the important political voice coming in.
कांग्रेस सोचते हैं कि ईडी, सीबीआई, कोई भी एजेंसी, कोई भी संवैधानिक संस्था जो है वो एक परिवार को सर्विस देना है, ये कांग्रेस का मानसिकता है। कांग्रेस सोचते है कि वो कानून से ऊपर है, किसी एजेंसी से ऊपर है। कांग्रेस ये मानते हैं कि वो एक परिवार ही पूरा भारत देश है, और कांग्रेस ये मानते हैं कि परिवार कुछ भी करे उसको पूछताछ नहीं कर सकते हैं कोई भी, कोई एजेंसी, कोई संवैधानिक संस्था एक परिवार को क्वेश्चन नहीं कर सकते हैं, ये कांग्रेस का मानना है।
जो अन्याय के खिलाफ हम लड़ रहे हैं, और जो सरकार अपोजिशन वालों को सता रही है, ईडी से, सीबीआई से और अपने सीबीसी से, इनकम टैक्स से, उनके खिलाफ हम लड़ रहे हैं।
अगर गांधी परिवार बेदाग है तो अब बेहाल क्यों? अगर गांधी परिवार ने भ्रष्टाचार नहीं किया तो हंगामा क्यों? आखिरकार भारत के नागरिकों से अगर किसी ने भ्रष्टाचार किया हो, उससे पूछताछ करना जांच एजेंसियों का काम है। तो क्या गांधी परिवार के लिए कानून अलग से बने? ये हंगामा किस बात का?
सरकार निष्ठुर है, ये सरकार जंगली बन चुके हैं। नहीं तो इतने उम्र की एक महिला जिनके तबीयत की ठीक नहीं, कुछ दिन पहले जिन्होंने अस्पताल में दर्ज हुई थी, सारे दुनिया जानती है कि किस तरीके की तबीयत की खराबी को झेल रही है। उन्होंने इतने सालों बाद याद आया इस सरकार को।
सर, सरकार कह रही है कि ईडी में पूछताछ है, तो आप उसको आंदोलन,
हम ये कहते हैं
सर, आंदोलन
वो ईडी को इडियट बना चुके हैं।
सर, ईडी की पूछताछ को आंदोलन बना रही कांग्रेस?
नहीं, कोई आंदोलन नहीं। वो सोनिया गांधी जा रही है, खिलाफत तो करना पड़ेगा, अन्याय के खिलाफ जा रही है मैडम सोनिया गांधी। हमें किसी का डर नहीं।
सत्याग्रह नहीं, देश और देश के कानून और देश की संस्थाओं के खिलाफ दुराग्रह है। देश को हम ये बताना चाहते हैं कि मामला है क्या। सोनिया जी और राहुल गांधी इस मामले में एक्यूज्ड हैं, बेल पर हैं, जिसमें धोखाधड़ी 420 का भी आरोप है।
तो पूरे देश में हो रहा है, सरकारें गिराने का काम भी कर रही है। इस रूप में ईडी का, इनकम टैक्स का, सीबीआई का दुरुपयोग हो रहा है, तो जग जाहिर है, कोई नई बात तो है नहीं।
इनके बारे में मैं पूछना चाहूँ, एवरीबडी इज इक्वल इन द लॉ और नॉट? ये कानून के समान, कानून के सामने सब समान है या नहीं है? क्या कांग्रेस के अध्यक्ष है तो सुपर ह्यूमन बीइंग है क्या? कानून हमको संबंध नहीं है, ऐसा ये तक के लिए स्थगित की जाती।
सत्याग्रह तो हमेशा जनता का अधिकार रहा है, गांधी का दिया हुआ अधिकार रहा है, क्योंकि सत्याग्रह से कभी भाजपा का वास्ता नहीं रहा, क्योंकि तो अंग्रेज आग्रह वाले थे। तो इसलिए उनको हमारा सत्याग्रह जो है कुछ अजीब सा लग रहा है।
पिछली बार आपने मार्च किया था, हाथापाई हुई थी, पुलिस के साथ झड़प हुई थी, क्या इस बार भी ऐसा ही?
हम सत्याग्रही हैं, हम सत्याग्रह के रास्ते पर आगे बढ़ते जाएंगे।
Well, we are going to go across to our panelists now. I'm told the BJP spokesperson has not joined us yet, but we are hoping to be joined by Gopal Krishna Agarwal. Anshul Avijit, spokesperson of the Congress Party. Akshay Marathe, spokesperson of Aam Aadmi Party. Dr. Santanu Sen of the TMC also will be joining us shortly. Shubhrastha, author and founder, with us here on the program, I believe. So let me begin with the lady. Shubhrastha, the point of the matter is, first of all, very good evening to all my guests. I want to begin by asking you that here is a joint statement now coming from the opposition where parties allege that the Modi government has unleashed a relentless vendetta against political opponents through misuse of investigating agencies by selectively targeting prominent leaders of various parties, while those implicated who have joined the BJP are off the hook. Your response?
Yeah, good evening to you as well, and of course the viewers of Mirror Now. Unfortunately, I am not aware of this statement by these opposition parties, because I was just in a panel while before I came here where Samajwadi Party completely distanced itself from what's going on with respect to the Sonia Gandhi case. I think as a common citizen of this country, I'm actually sick and tired of this opposition rant about being targeted by the Modi government and its agencies. I have 2-3 very simple questions to ask of joint opposition. Since Rahul Gandhi and Sonia Gandhi haven't really done a press conference ever, can they now come to the forefront and tell us the various questions that common citizens have with respect to their links with National Herald, AJL, Young India Limited? Because it's not just a question of financial misappropriation. It's a very simple question of moral corruption as well. An organization, Young India Limited, which started off with rupees 5 lakh in 2010, and this is, by the way, by your own sister entity, Times of India. I'm quoting from that report itself. Today has assets worth 800 crores. Can Rahul Gandhi and Sonia Gandhi, who continuously target the Adanis and the Ambanis and the other corporates in this country for, misappropriating wealth and creating disproportionate wealth all the time, can they ever come and address a press conference with maybe you, Ms. as the chief spokesperson from the media, and answer simple, direct questions from the media, where people like us can really direct questions to them? It's a very, very urgent issue for the simple reason that Congress was thrown out of power in 2013 on the case of corruption. And today, again, the tentacles have sort of, spread all over the country with respect to these bogus protests in the name of satyagraha and whatnot. Can they come clean and tell us what is it? How is it that, agencies, organizations like the courts of this country, Supreme Court and High Court, are alleging this kind of misappropriation of money?
Okay, and you also have a, yes, I take your suggestion, and I want to...
I say would be very political.
Yes, I want to put that across to Anshul Avijit. Anshul, here is a suggestion from Shubhrastha, who's saying that there should be a press conference where the likes of her and members of the media should be able to question Rahul Gandhi and Priyanka Gandhi, and they should be able to take questions that arise out of this...
Sonia Gandhi.
Yes, Sonia Gandhi and Rahul Gandhi should address questions on financial misappropriation with regards to the National Herald Case. Do you see that as a possibility?
Absolutely absurd. You want a media circus? You want a trial by media? Is this how the country is going to function from now on? The Prime Minister hasn't given a single press conference in the last 8 years, and you expect the leaders of the Congress, who've always been forthcoming and pretty democratic in their own party, to come and give a press conference. Look, Afrida, unfortunately, this is the high noon of vendetta politics. There is no other way around it. All the leaders have been targeting. You said that in your opening statement. That is not rhetoric. That is the reality over here. They are weaponizing the ED to go after the detractors of this government, people who've been critiquing it. They've been also using their laws, the abusive laws, to go after members of civil society, UAPA 124A. We'll have a discussion about that another time, but these are the twin weapons of the arsenal of this government, which is going after its distractors. I'll bring out a couple of points which are going to bolster my case. I want to first ask this government, where is the scheduled offense, right? Where was the F.I.R. filed in this particular case? You know, even if you say that it's a gray area, whether an F.I.R. is mandated or an ECIR is mandated or not, it is mandated to file an F.I.R. Where is that? I want to see. What are the charges? Let's hear it. A second point is, you know, the number of cases in the Modi Sarkar which the ED is investigating is 5,422. Keep that figure in mind, Afrida. In the Congress government, it was 122. So imagine the number of cases the ED is tackling right now. If this is not vendetta politics, then what is? And another point I want to make very quickly, you know, this metaphor of the washing machine, you know, as everyone who comes to the BJP is become squeaky clean and is laundered, is not incorrect at all. I mean, I want to know, like, there are serious allegations of corruption against senior members of the BJP, particularly from Karnataka recently. I've got an entire list. Which one of them have
okay, let's Shubhrastha answer. You raised three important points, Anshul. Why no FIR has ever been registered? Why is it that so many cases that the BJP and the NDA government has roped in the ED to investigate, upwards of 5,400? And third point about, well, the leaders who are implicated, who belong to the BJP, are left untouched. And I have some examples. I'll go into them later. Yes, Shubhrastha.
Yeah, before I answer his questions, I have a counter question on the main suggestion which I made. Why is it absurd for a common citizen to ask questions of Sonia and Rahul? Why is it absurd for people like me to ask that they should come and address a press conference? I am not a member of the BJP, so the political questions that he has against BJP's vendetta politics can very well be directed to spokespersons as and when they come. I'm not here to defend a political party and say that, well, you know, BJP has done an absolutely fantastic job with respect to eradicating corruption. I'm not, please quote me if I have ever made that argument. But what I'm definitely trying to say is that this particular case with respect to Young India Limited and National Herald, with a link with AJL, this is a very serious issue. It talks about financial misappropriation. There is a specific case.
Anshul's response is you cannot have a media trial. That is what he's saying.
Today has 800 crores.
Let me bring in the others as well. I get your point, and yes, the point of the matter is.
Why should I answer on behalf of the Prime Minister? I do not represent the Prime Minister's office, sir.
Okay.
I'm asking a question of Sonia and Rahul. Why should I be answerable to you with respect to the Prime Minister? Are you speaking to an official from a Prime Minister's office? Are you speaking to a BJP spokesperson?
Madam,
I'm a
what kind of a
citizen.
party
Answer my
is a
question.
democratic party when they're not answerable to the people, when they do not engage with the people? This is an indictment of the BJP.
Am I defending?
I don't know what your point
Afrida,
is.
I don't think this gentleman understands what I'm trying to say.
No, hang on. We've allowed both the spokespersons of the Congress and the BJP to put in their points. I want to also go across to the others. I have Mr. Gopal Krishna Agarwal, again from the BJP, and I have Dr. Santanu Sen of the TMC with us, Akshay Marathe of the AAP. I will begin with Dr. Santanu Sen, because the TMC, Mr. Sen, has taken a very interesting position of late. Even today, for that matter, if you look at it, you have Abhishek Banerjee coming out and saying that we are going to abstain from the vice presidential elections. Some sort of a maintaining of a distance is coming to fore with the Congress in particular. The same party has been crying hoarse about misuse of agencies. Would you, in this case as well, make the same argument and stand with Mrs. Gandhi in this case?
See, there are two separate agendas you have to consider. I would like to remind you, it's only Madam Mamata Banerjee who has written letters to all the opposition parties that we should get united against the misappropriately used central agencies. Because it is proved by now that these central agencies are being utilized here and there like anything by Bharatiya Janata Party, and they are working at the behest of Bharatiya Janata Party. you can see the chronology before 2021 assembly election. In particular, our state minister is getting harassed. The day our general secretary is going to Tripura to hold a rally, his wife is getting harassed. Tamil Nadu CM is getting harassed before parliament election, and so many. On the contrary, come to our state. I am not going to cite an example of Shubhrastha Singh Chauhan or Hemant Biswa Sarma and many. Some other person in your panel was talking about the list. I do support him. Come to our state. Our leader of opposition, his name is very much in the F.I.R. of CBI. But there is none to touch him. And he is roaming around here and there along with the Home Minister of the country, Amit Shah. There lies the basic difference between Bharatiya Janata Party. Once you are in the party, Bharatiya Janata Party, then you are belonging to a group which is the largest washing machine of today's country. No one is there to touch you. I promise, I can say very loud and clear. CBI was formed in 1963. ED was formed in 1956. Had there been any person experiencing this situation who were there during formation of these central agencies, they must be crying by seeing this improper utilization of the central agencies at the behest of one particular party which is ruling our country. It's absolutely unbelievable. So in this context, definitely Trinamool Congress fights all along because we are absolutely against this and have been shouting against this like anything since long. Our party supremo has been shouting in favor of this since long. On the contrary,
doesn't seem to be united. I mean, I haven't heard a very strong statement, and correct me if I'm wrong, coming in from either Mamata Banerjee or any of the tallest leaders of the TMC in favor of Sonia Gandhi, not in favor per se, but at least making this point strongly enough that there is a misuse of agencies.
It is not the question of favoring.
Would you only speak up when there's a TMC leader implicated, or would you also equally be vocal when any other leader of the opposition is in the dock?
I got your question. Kindly allow me to answer.
Yes.
There is a fight between two principles, right? Trinamool Congress is absolutely against this principle by using which BJP is using these central agencies. This is a basic issue. And
yes,
on the contrary, like in West Bengal, Pradesh Congress President Adhir Ranjan Chowdhury will be cherishing whenever CBI is used against any Trinamool Congress leader. This is not done. In central,
you know, the primary issue also is that the faith of the people in these investigating agencies must be restored. Right now, that is also shaken. Okay, I'm told we have live pictures of the Prime Minister meeting Draupadi Murmu. As we know, the figures have clearly now indicated that Draupadi Murmu is the 15th President of India, the first tribal leader to hold the highest office of this country. Draupadi Murmu there seen with JP Nadda and Mr. Narendra Modi, the Prime Minister of the country, meeting her for the first time after being announced as the 15th President of India. Well, those are the first pictures, viewers, coming to you on your screens right now. Prime Minister Modi is at Draupadi Murmu's residence. This is a historic moment per se for the country as well. First tribal woman to hold the office of the President of India. Now, what we are also showing our viewers at the moment is this visual coming to you live. Present there is BJP President JP Nadda, huge media presence, huge presence of the tall leaders, the important political leaders, all there, gathered there to congratulate Draupadi Murmu. Well, creating history by becoming the first tribal woman to be the President of India, 64-year-old Draupadi Murmu, former governor of Jharkhand. Unassuming, simple in her ways, as we have always seen her. And the celebrations we were showing our viewers earlier have started even before the second round of voting concluded. And after the third round, of course, we had the returning officer give us the figures, and that is when it was a deal that is sealed for Draupadi Murmu. She is going to now sit in the highest office of this country. Always known for her simplicity, comes from humble beginnings. She was born in the year 1958 in Mayurbhanj in Odisha. And of course, she had a long political journey that has taken her to the highest office in the country. Okay, let's go back to the conversation, and I want to put this question to Mr. Gopal Krishna Agarwal. Mr. Agarwal, with your permission, I want to list out the names of some of the accused in various scams and scandals. Mukul Roy, key accused in Sharda scam, who switched from TMC to BJP in 2017. The case has been moving at a snail pace. Suvendu Adhikari joined the BJP from the TMC again in December 2020. We do not see any movement in that case as well. Sovan Chatterjee switched over in August 2019 in the Sharda chit fund scam and the Narda sting cases. That case, I believe, is stalled. Himanta Biswa Sharma in the Sharda scam again in August 15. Sharma joined the BJP ever since. We have not heard of any ED probe against these individuals, Mr. Gopal Krishna Agarwal.
So what happens in Rahul Gandhi? It is now 8th year, then the investigation is now moving. So these investigation agencies take a very long time. We should understand that there are issues which have to be looked into, because the issues are, these are white collar crimes. They take a long time for investigation, and those people who indulge into this kind of the frauds, etc., or illegal activities, they are at times in the seat of power. So they have the right to manipulate. They have access to many of the files. They have so many things. So it takes time. But what I want to tell at this point of time, underline, is when an investigation is taking place, where both the leader Rahul Gandhi ji and Sonia are on bail in a case, why they don't want the investigation? Why they think that they are above law? They can object. They have the legal option open if they have any object. But investigation, you cannot say that investigation cannot take place, because Sonia ji was in past chairman of the UPA. The mindset of certain people that they are above law, the government or any investigation agency cannot take any action against them. And if they investigate where there is a finding, the High Court, Supreme Court have said that prima facie there seems that there is a manipulation, there is a fraud, there is an issue which has to be investigated, then why they don't want to be investigated?
Okay. No, but then Mrs. Gandhi is there. ED office, I mean, you can't say that she's not willing to get investigated. She's presented herself in person. But I get your point about how can anybody claim to be above the law? There cannot be a separate law for certain politicians. Now, like I said, the faith of the people in the fairness of this investigating agencies must be restored. And you have very conveniently ignored my question, Mr. Gopal Krishna Agarwal, on why certain leaders are absolved from any inquiry despite having serious enough cases against them. We are questioning whether the point of duplicity on the part of the ED holds purely on the basis of the fact that there are enough and more names of political leaders where cases have slowed down. But you have not answered that question. I'll come back to you.
no,
another
just 20
okay, go ahead.
second more. The thing is, do you want to say that if some XYZ against whom the investigation is going slow, therefore Sonia ji or Rahul ji should not be investigated? Is your statement means this?
Not at all. What I'm saying is, why is it that when you see a pattern, as journalists, we are asked to see the pattern and we see it, you cannot be blind to it. You see the pattern that there has been a consistent move against leaders from the opposition. It's a factual thing. It's not something I've made up. I have read out the names. However, you did not answer that question on the pattern of only and only leaders of the opposition being caught in the net. Akshay Marathe, your response to what you just heard from Shubhrastha and from Mr. Agarwal on no one is above the law and an accused will be questioned.
Afrida, the rampant misuse of the country's premier investigative agencies is something that has become a hallmark of this BJP government. It is not just an allegation that we are making as the opposition. It is something that several courts of law have. Mr. Agarwal,
no, you want to hold on, Mr. Agarwal. I allowed you enough time to make your points. I will have to bring in the others as well. Go ahead, sir.
I just want to tell your viewers this fact. In the last so many years, whatever thousands of cases the Enforcement Directorate has filed, many of them have gone to court, and only 0.6% of these cases have ended in a conviction. What does that tell you? In the large majority of the cases that the Enforcement Directorate investigates and prosecutes, the courts of law in this country do not find any merit in these cases. So it has become apparent that the BJP has been using these central agencies as instruments of harassment. But at the same time, I want to say I have no sympathies here for the Congress party. It is the Congress party which actually created these instruments of harassment to begin with. The Enforcement Directorate is given special powers for arresting and questioning the accused towards self-incrimination, which now the BJP is using against all the other opposition parties. The Congress party was the one who supported the UAPA and passed it in the parliament of this country. So on the one hand, the Aam Aadmi Party very strongly condemns the misuse of these investigative agencies. But at the same time, we have no sympathy for the Congress because it has been an equal opportunity offender and has done the exact same thing when it was in power.
Dr. Sen wanted to come in. I'll allow Anshul to respond to all of that. Yes, Dr. Santanu Sen.
My stand and my party stand is very clear. We strongly condemn the way BJP is utilizing the central agencies. And for the coming days, India has to face its consequences. On the contrary, I must say once again that the party who is suffering now, the issue is for ED raid with Sonia ji. The same Congress party is asking for CBI or ED against Trinamool Congress here in Bengal. So we should remember, like if today we are facing ED and CBI, tomorrow it might happen to your party also if you are opposing BJP in true sense. As because Trinamool Congress can take BJP head on in each and every issue, which is being proved time and again inside the parliament as well as outside the parliament. Whatever might be the issue, if it is against the interest of the common people at large, Trinamool Congress never spare and Trinamool Congress fight all along against BJP in every aspect. And it's only Trinamool Congress which has been defeating BJP subsequently in each and every election in our state of West Bengal. So specifically, Trinamool Congress is a major target for the CBI and ED. But at the same time, we must say BJP has been using the central agencies from their drawing room and it is giving a very wrong signal for the future of the country. And at the same time, those who are really opposing BJP, those who are really against BJP, they should not cherish when CBI or ED is being utilized against any other anti-BJP party in their own state or in their own town.
Okay, thanks for that. I want to go across to Anshul now on all the points that were made, but particularly on that point about how, you know, the opposition, in fact, is in a state of complete disarray. You do not have parties like TMC and AAP on your side, as you can clearly see. Both the representatives have their caveats on why they are not going to give any kind of unconditional support to the Congress party. That's one. Second, you heard Mr. Marathe make this point about how the Congress created these tools of harassment. So in a way, you're getting a taste of your own medicine.
No, first of all, I want to respond first of all to Mr. Gopal's charges that Mr. Rahul Gandhi or Mrs. Sonia Gandhi have been reluctant to come before ED. That's absolutely false. I mean, there were 50 hours of questioning to Mr. Rahul Gandhi. And he said, listen, bring it on. You can have more questioning if you want. Today, in fact, there was a vicious rumor floating around.
No, let Anshul speak. I'll come back to you, Mr. Agarwal. Yes, go ahead.
There was a rumor that Mrs. Gandhi had taken the plea of ill health to suspend questioning. That's absolutely false. It was the ED who said that, listen, we don't have a doctor here. We have some work tomorrow. We'll give you another notification of when to call you next. So there are all these kind of rumors are coming around. We are not above the law. We are open to any kind of questioning because there is nothing to hide. You know, the list that you read out smacks of clear bias. I just want one name of a single person from the BJP who has opened its doors to the ED for questioning about anything, and a number of serious offences have come out. As for the Congress's charges, well, they're absolutely absurd. The number of investigations by the ED, and I told you that statistic, was 122. And now that has catapulted to an enormous figure of 4,422. I mean, that's enormous. You can imagine the amount of vendetta politics that has been unleashed by the government. The statistics talk for themselves. If the laws are made, they're not meant to be abused. Right, and this is exactly what the government...
Yes, but at the same time, Anshul, to be fair, the kind of protests we have seen, public property destroyed, trains blocked, there's an attempt by the Congress cadre to hold the country hostage, and that is also, to my mind, not fair, because here is an investigating agency. You may agree, you may disagree that they are not doing a fair job, but does that mean the kind of ruckus created? I would ask my producer to play those videos as well. And where was this energy when it comes to elections? Why is it that it takes a Gandhi to unite the Congress and the cadre and the MPs and, across board everybody to come out, Anshul? This is a question that the Congress will be asked, because while you have certain senior leaders of the party questioning the Gandhis and saying they should step aside, at the same time it takes a Gandhi each and every time to bring this kind of guts and gumption out of the Congress party. Why is it missing during elections?
You think that if the tallest leaders of the Congress party are arrested, brought in for questioning in this manner that they have, there will be no protest at all? I mean, what we wanted was a satyagraha kind of protest without any violence. The kind of action which has been unleashed by the police, even last time and even this time, when all we want is to walk towards the ED office in a highly peaceful way. But the police stopped us. In fact, they made a gross violation last time, entering 24 Akbar Road, unheard of in the entire history of Indian politics. So it's the violations are being made by the police, provocative actions are being taken by the police. I don't condone any kind of acts of violence. This is satyagraha. But the Congress party and its leadership in particular symbolizes the values of the Congress party. If they are hurt, those values are hurt. That is similarly symbolized by the National Herald as well. So if the National Herald...
different question on why we don't see this kind of a movement, when it comes to elections. Why does the party appear to be in tatters? But the moment a Gandhi is in the dock, everyone is out there to prove their loyalty. There's a certain sense of sycophancy, at least, which I noticed. Every single leader worth his salt has come out and made a statement in favor of the Gandhis, and it just lends to the fact that's the glue for the party. And I don't know whether it is in the interest of the Congress or not. I won't get into that. That's a matter of another debate. But Shubhrastha ji, your take on, the dharna or a protest is a democratic right of any political party. Anshul is saying that you were trying to crush all these protests. What was the idea? And also the point about Mrs. Gandhi being elderly, She's ill. There could have been questioning done in her residence. Why did she have to be dragged to the ED office? There again, the accusation that the idea is to target the Gandhis.
Of course, the idea is to target the Gandhis, Afrida. I wouldn't mince words to say that it is a political statement on part of the BJP. And why should it not? BJP is not a, last I checked, it's neither a non-profit organization, nor is it an NGO, which is going to, be charitable towards any family, let alone Sonia and Rahul, who single-handedly have ensured that corruption seeps inside the party.
Yes, sorry but why I asked that question is because you say that the Gandhis are irrelevant, that they do not matter. Yet there is an attempt to, get them in the dock. So either they are relevant, either they are important or they are not.
They don't matter, Afrida. For a millennial, they are irrelevant. Which is why we take immense pride when BJP government or any government at the center is trying to do so. They are so irrelevant that nobody comes out to address a press conference and questions are raised at people who are demanding a press conference. You quoted, some chief minister somewhere saying that, why should the ED not go to Sonia Gandhi's place? Who is she? Who is she? Why should an enforcement directorate go to the place of an alleged criminal who is being accused of criminal conspiracy and financial misappropriation? What kind of satyagraha is this? Last I checked, Punjab was not run by BJP or Afrida. Because if Punjab is run by the BJP, if Punjab is run by the Aam Aadmi Party, then in Chandigarh, Congress protesters have been stopped by water cannons. Why? Is Aam Aadmi Party also anti-democratic? What are we trying to say? There have been vehicles burnt down in Bengaluru. And please, Anshul, don't smile. These are real cases. If you're talking about democracy, then please address these issues as well.
You?
Yes,
there are so many cases going on in the country.
Let Shubhrastha finish. I'll allow Anshul to respond. Okay, go ahead, Anshul.
This
but
press
why should you
conferencing,
smile at
this dazzling, because
as
this
a citizen of this country,
can I not demand citizenry? Don't tell me about the citizenry.
To go and address himself in...
I understand your responsibilities.
Anshul, can I please respond?
No, I honor one by one. Shubhrastha finish and then I'll have Anshul respond. Yes, Shubhrastha.
Anshul, are you moderating the show? Because
I am moderating the show. Please go ahead and finish your point, Shubhrastha. I will then go to Anshul.
I don't understand this, Yes.
I'm not mocking your citizenry.
Yes, I don't understand this indirect jibe being thrown at me as if I'm asking a ludicrous question. In fact, because the Congress party is...
Ma'am, I haven't even spoken yet. What is the jibe that I've thrown at you?
May I respond
I don't
now?
understand. I'm saying I honor your citizenry. Let me just answer your question. This continuous thing about appearing in the
allow
media...
me to finish, Anshul. I know this is a tactics by the Congress party to not allow me to speak. And
Anshul, just hang on. Just let Shubhrastha completely finish her point, and then I'll give you a go to respond to each and every point that she's made. Shubhrastha, please finish.
Don't heckle like that, please.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't understand what is ridiculous or what is absurd about a common citizen asking of the greatest Sonia Gandhi to come out and address a press conference. This case has been dragging on for long, as Anshul has been, time and again saying. If this case is so important for the Congress that they are, launching nationwide movements, why can't Rahul and Sonia address a simple press conference and have some people who can ask them direct questions, address questions to them, and they can just answer those simple questions and get away with it? There would be no need for Congress protesters and Congress
then the ED questioning will stop. Are you saying in that case, if Mrs. Gandhi and Rahul Gandhi satisfy the media, will the ED inquiry stop? It doesn't work like that, does it? I mean, I do understand your point about how they should be answerable to the people of this country, but that will not derail, that will not stop the investigating agency, and it shouldn't ideally stop any investigating agency from doing what they are supposed to do if this is a fair case. Okay, let Anshul respond, please. Yes, Anshul, over to you.
I don't think the meaning of democracy has been perfectly understood. We have a democracy, we have a parliament, people are elected. Now, if you want to take recourse to a press conference resolves matters which are of the ED, of the UAAP, of NSA, of 124A, then that's an absurd suggestion. And if you want that suggestion, by the way, press conferences should begin right from the top, from the Prime Minister, and the dazzling list of defaulters of the BJP, which Afrida just read out. I don't want to go through them because I don't want to upset my mood, but it's a dazzling list of rogues. They should come out with press conferences to address that. Did you ask them the similar question? Why Vyapam scam, Louis Berger scam, the scams that happened in Karnataka, the land scams that happened in Uttarakhand when the CM was there, Mr. Pokhriyal? Have you asked them to come out and justify their position or give their side of the story in a press conference? It's an absolutely absurd idea in a democracy. There are rules that are made. There is a particular procedure. Democratic values are upheld in the legislature for which people are duly elected. I think you've got a complete misreading of what democracy means and what rules of means and different institutions what are meant for. You know, the weaponization and the abuse of institutions.
Tone, Anshul, let me respond.
Very quick response. I need to bring in the others as well. I cannot just have only two people on the panel speak. Yes, please quickly respond, and I'll go to the others for closing comments.
I don't think as a voter of, I don't think as a voter of this grand democracy, I need any lesson from any political party, let alone the Congress, on how I perceive my democracy to be. By all means, they should protest. Ask BJP leaders and whoever
there is, you know, Shubhrastha, my very humble opinion is just this, that going by the list of people who are under ED scanner or CBI scanner, you will find, going factually by their credentials, that they are mostly from the opposition camp. Now, you may well argue and say, well, they are more corrupt than us, but we are only going by the names and their party affiliations. We find case after case after case, more or less, you will find members of the opposition put in the dock, and ED and CBI gets after them in hot pursuit. And we find those leaders who earlier there were cases against them, moment they have shifted loyalties to BJP, the cases slow down, the investigation slows down. This I am speaking purely on the basis of facts that have emerged. Shubhrastha, you'll bear me out on that. I have to give the closing, comments to the other two panelists, Akshay Marathe and Gopal Krishna Agarwal. Mr. Marathe, you first.
On the BJP, I would just want to remind the BJP spokesperson here that you will not remain in power forever. Tomorrow, there will be a different government in power. And if the new government starts behaving in the same manner with the BJP, that will be very sad for India's democracy. So I just want to remind you that in the spirit of democracy, in the spirit of this great country's constitutional rights, please stop harassing opposition leaders in this manner. You have been given a huge mandate by the people of this country to govern and to serve the people. On the Congress, I am nobody to sermonize how the Congress behaves in this particular case. But I will just say that for any political party, the biggest issues on which people mobilize and people come to protest on the ground are issues that people resonate with, are issues that people have some personal stake about, whether it's inflation, whether it's corruption. But the Congress party, unfortunately, is so hyper-focused on the Gandhi family that it has never once shown the will to come on the street on issues of national importance. The Aam Aadmi Party has protested time and again on issues of national importance. And I just want to end my statement by saying that it is up to the people of India to look at which party is representing them better today.
Mr. Agarwal, the party in power has all the powers with them, bestowed upon them. They have won the mandate of the people. It is their bounden duty to show fairness. And here you have, of course, we have to concede that the leaders who were summoned did appear. They are going through the investigation. So you cannot simply say that the Congress is reluctant to be investigated. From what we could see, there was enough cooperation. Your thoughts and closing comments to you, sir.
Yeah, I have 2-3 important points. One thing is that it is our Congress, Rahul Gandhi or Sonia Gandhi cannot deny the investigation. The law of the land is very strong and very clear on this. If the ED summons, they have no choice that they will not go, otherwise what the thing. The only thing is I'm talking about the mindset of the Congress. The way they are calling it satyagraha, but it's not satyagraha. It's a unleashing of violence on the people of India. And this kind of agitation is clear-cut coming from a mindset that their leaders are above law. This is only my contention. Second point is Trinamool Congress, which is unleashing physical violence on our workers, killing them blatantly with the government and police support in West Bengal. And they are saying that they are the upholder of democracy. It's a mockery of their statements. The third important point that I would like to underline is that the basic definition of corruption in Indian Penal Code is the person who is in power. So out of 75 years of independence, mostly it is the Congress party which had been in power. If the person in power indulges in certain gratification or any issue where the personal benefit arises out of the government issues, we have seen how Indira Gandhi in 1975 misused the government machinery to win elections. She was clearly vindicated in the High Court and Supreme Court. And here also, in the National Herald case, it is the High Court and Supreme Court. You only have to read those statements and orders of the High Court and Supreme Court. You will find the way that this whole issue of National
I do
Herald
take that
case,
point. The
how
courts, to be fair,
national
did find
property.
merit in this
So the
investigation,
last
which is
point
why
is-
this is happening.
yes.
There's summons issued and those accused have
right
appeared
of the
before the ED.
investigation
We are not
agency
going into the merits of
is
the case
there-
per se,
yeah.
but only on the point of
So how
whether
can you not
these
go into the merits of
investigating
the case
agencies
if
are
not-
acting fairly or are they selectively targeting leaders? That's a question I wanted to open out to our panelists, and I think I gave all the party representatives enough time to make their points. I leave it to the viewers to decide what they think on this. Thanks very much to all my panelists. Thanks for watching. Let's take a short break here. News and updates continue on the other side. Stay with us.